What is up, office hours? Apparently we are live right on time at 1 p.m. Central. Which one is the Facebook camera, the right or the left? The right. What's up, Facebook? What's up, YouTube? My name is Chris Donaldson. Office Hours is a show that literally we built for you. What are your real estate questions? And I'm going to try to do my best to answer them and give you practical advice, not fluff, not other things, but something you can put into practice today that's going to help your real estate business. In today's class, first of all, I am in front of a live classroom audience. So if you see me look around, I've got students that are learning, and I'm bringing you into our world. We're talking about something that comes up a lot. I get lots of emails, complaints, and hear the chatter about lead conversion, especially when you're dealing online. And so what I'd like to just kind of give you a couple of pages of is the Superstar Lead Conversion Playbook. So I'm going to share with you guys right now, if you're thinking about not watching live, we may not let this episode stay up forever. So if you're not on the office hours list, or if you're not watching live, if you think somebody needs to watch this, now's the time to share it. Now's the time to get a part of our email list, because we're about to dive a little bit deeper. So everybody, is it good? Sound good? Yeah. All right. So what we're going to talk about today are the 3 S's of lead conversion. And the reason I like to call them the 3 S's is because it's very simple to remember. The number one battle that I hear from real estate agents, the number one complaint I hear from real estate agents is, well, these leads are garbage. These leads are bad. I can't convert them. I don't know why I'm paying for these leads from X, Y, or Z source. And my immediate response to that is always, well, how long did you do it? And what is your tracking system? And how fast are you responding? Because I think there's some things that we need to keep in mind, is that real estate is a process. So the decision that I'm going to buy a house, the decision that I'm going to sell a house happens 5 to 6 months before I actually take action. And so even though we want immediate gratification, right, we're in this culture of immediate gratification, we have to understand as real estate agents that a bad lead may just be a lead that's 3, 4, 5 months out. And so when we're talking about the 3 S's, I'm going to keep this in my pocket. Let me break it down for you first. The first S is source. We have to understand where buyers are coming from so that you can either maximize your sourcing, know where they're coming from so that you can be where they're coming from, or just understand what buyer leads in this whole world looks like in the first place. The second part, the second S, is speed. And we're going to talk about how important it is that you respond fast. Not that you have the perfect script, not that you're even the best agent for the job, that actually being first and being fast is more important than being best. And then we've got the source, we've got the speed, and then we've got the system to put it all together. Now, most of you guys out there, and I'd love comments, I'd love to hear from you on this, most of you guys, especially by email, you want to go straight to this. You want to go to the end. And what do you want? You want a CRM, you want a piece of technology, you want to be able to swipe your credit card and have some machine do all of this for you. But if we don't understand what's actually happening, it's going to be incredibly hard for me to get the right piece of technology to employ into my business. So as an example, number one question I get, what CRM should I use? Then my response to you is, what are you going to do with it? How big is your database? What is your systematic approach for contacting potential clients and past clients now? If you don't have a database, if you don't have a system for contacting folks that you're using now, a CRM is not going to solve that. It's going to complicate that. Because now you're going to have a new piece of software you got to learn that's going to be trying to tell you to do all these things, and the basics are the most important part. So let's start first with your sources. And if you're wondering out there, and comment if this is true, if you're a top agent, a new agent, or anywhere in between, 50% of your business on average is going to come from your friends, and I know I have messy handwriting, your family, and your sphere of influence. So already, you should always be focused on the people that know you best, because 50% of your business, on average, is coming from these folks anyway. So we're talking about this other 50%. And so what exactly is a lead, or how does a buyer lead get to you? Well, we have to understand the buyer. So what are they doing? When they decide that they're going to buy a house, what are all of us going to do? Reflex. Pull out our phone, get on a website or an app, and search. And so we can break it down, guys, to 4 main sources where they're going to be looking. Facebook, Google, Realtor.com, or Zillow/Trulia. And yes, in case you didn't know, Zillow and Trulia are part of Zillow Group. The magic word here, the big scary monster of lead selling, right? So when we get online, they're by and large going to come from one of these 4 places. So the question you need to ask yourself is, are you where they are? So if a buyer's looking to buy, are you on Facebook? Can you find yourself on Google? And then if you're paying for leads, or if you're part of the programs on Zillow and Realtor.com, what I'm going to challenge you to understand is that's where the potential buyers are going, whether we like it or not. So if we're getting leads from those sources, what I want to help you understand is whether to determine if they're good or if they're bad and what you need to do to convert them. So 50%, that's your sphere. So you should be working on that with a systematic approach. Okay? The other 4, we need to talk about the second S, which is speed. And the reason speed is so important is that if you consider someone that's in the buying cycle towards the beginning. So here I am, Chris, I'm walking down the street, I'm driving, I bust out the Realtor.com website, I want to see a house, I click on it, that lead is generated to the broker, to the agent. When do I want to see that house? Guys, when do I want to see that house? Right now, huh? That's not fair. It's the way it is. And so if you get that lead, your goal should be to respond with almost anything within 5 minutes. And so what you need to understand is, if you come to me and you say, I'm buying these leads, I'm generating these leads, and they're bad, my question's going to be, how soon are you responding, and how often are you following up? This is where the system comes in. Where's my S? I deleted it already. Where the system comes in. So what I want to challenge you is, if you have bad leads, how fast are you responding? Because the statistics are pretty amazing. Like, the difference between 5 minutes and 30 minutes is a 100x difference in your chances of converting that lead. Think about this. From 5 minutes to 30 minutes, you have 100 times worse chance of converting that lead because somebody else got to them first. So the number one thing I want to challenge you is that if you're generating online leads from one of the 4 main sources where buyers are coming from, be there and be there fast. Because it almost doesn't matter what you say. So for instance, I get a buyer lead, I know that they're looking, immediately respond. Try an emoji. How fast can you send an emoji? It's a response. They go, what is this guy doing? Then you have your other response. Try to get them on the phone. Try to get that in-person meeting. Fast is better than best. So if you get caught up in what I'm going to say, what's the dialogue going to be, what's the perfect script, those can help. But if you're responding a day later, the script ain't going to bail you out. So it's more important that you're fast. And so speed is one of the most important pieces of the formula. Okay? So understanding the sources, and then understanding that we got to respond fast. So then comes the fun part, which is the system. Now, I just want to ask you guys out there, I know my superstars and anybody that's watching the stream, post yes or no if you have a system you're using for converting leads. A system as in, this is how I do it every day. This is a piece of technology that I'm using. I'm paying for a company to nurture these leads. I don't need to know specifics if you don't want to put them there, but just put yes or no. Be honest. This is the office hours community here. Do you have a system in place? Because if you don't, your leads might be good, and you're just not there fast enough. Or your leads might be great, they're just not ready yet. And so to understand, somebody that's going to buy a house goes from shopping, right, browsing even, to shopping, to buying. And we catch them on the browsing side, and then we brush it off as a bad lead. But what if we follow up, and then follow up again, and then follow up again? Guys, when they're ready to pull the trigger, you need to be there. So my job is not to make them pull the trigger, to make them be ready at that time. My job is to be present, to be the authority, to be the expert when that time comes. And so I think what the problem is with the system is that, for instance, what is it, $8 or $9 billion, I believe? Y'all can check that. It's either 8 or 9 billion with a B of good money is being invested this year alone in real estate technology companies to help you do this stuff. There is a gigantic industry. Artificial intelligence can help you. Bots can help you. These CRM all-in-one solutions can help you. But the problem is, if we don't understand the basics of where this traffic is coming from, the life cycle of a buyer, why they get to me when they're not ready yet, then all of this stuff is just stuff we're swiping our credit card and buying. And so what I want you guys to understand is the whole point is to take the offline, or the online rather, and take it offline. Get you from that lead that was generated in my email and get you over to coffee where we can meet face to face. It's not supposed to replace it. It's supposed to make sure that you are creating that actual personal touch and relationship. So, for instance, I could spend a lot of money on a really fancy CRM, but my question is, if you don't have leads being fed into it for it to send responses to, what are you paying for? You got to have a database to start with, and you've got to have leads you're feeding into to even be able to nurture, follow up, and convert those leads. We also need to remember that it's a numbers game. What's the conversion rate we use as our example in Superstars? What is it, guys? 40 to 1. And that's just the example that we use to start with, which means on average, regardless of what I'm doing, it's going to be 40 people before I get to one commission check. So 40 leads leads to one check. It becomes a numbers game. 39 of them didn't work out. The one that does, good payday, move on to the next one. So I think we get caught up in the 39 that didn't work out. Now we forget about the one that did. We forget about the 39 people that were literally just looking around for houses, and maybe they weren't actually going to buy, and the 1, the 2, the 3, the 4, the 5 that did. And so where the system comes in place is, first, I want to challenge you, when you get a lead, how fast are you responding? Because a lot of us like to tell our clients or future clients, I'm available 24/7. You're a robot. You're the Terminator. That's literally impossible. But we need to know when people are shopping, when people are online, when they're looking at houses, because that's the most common time that those leads are going to come in to where I can be there within 5 minutes. So autoresponders can help you, but if your autoresponder looks like a robot, it looks like an autoresponder, and then you're not there as a human agent within 5 or 10 minutes, you're probably going to lose that person. Think about you guys as consumers. We always have to go back. We got YouTube up so I can look at YouTube also. What's up, YouTube? Facebook, YouTube, what's up? Well, the biggest thing I want you guys to understand is that if I'm not there at the moment they're looking for that decision, the agent that is there may take that lead, even if it's 3, 4, 5, 6 months down the line, because I just didn't have a system in place. So this thing can be your best friend or your worst enemy. So a couple of really simple things. Number one, what I want to see you guys do, regardless, and I'll get into some more advanced software. It's hard with all these wires. Y'all got so many mics on it. All right. What I want to see more than anything else, more than programs, more than technology, more than investments, I want to see a central hub where whether you're getting a friend that's asking you about real estate, you're generating a lead from Google, you've got something coming in from Facebook, somebody you met at a party, you need one central place where all of those leads are going. Because then you have them in one database, you can segment it over time, but you got to have one central hub. Because if you got things all over the place, you got some people in your Facebook Messenger, and then you got this guy you talked to the other day, and I got a business card on the floor, and then I got these couple of people that clicked on my Google ad. It's going to be very difficult for you to be fast and effective. So what I want to see is stop worrying about what the central hub is going to be and start systemizing your business that you have a central hub. Because then, through this central hub, I can decide if I'm going to contact by phone. I can decide by email. I can decide by text. I can decide I'm going to send out a letter. You guys with me, superstars? You with me on this? Yeah. And that's why I showed you guys how much does this have to cost at first? $0. If I have a Gmail account, this could be a Gmail sheet, an Excel spreadsheet. It doesn't have to cost a lot of money because any system will work if you use it. So understand where your traffic is coming from, collect it in one place, and then start systematically reaching out. Within the comments, do we have yeses and nos on people that have systems?
We do have a couple. Some saying they do not. Some say they have them in place, but still work in progress. Yeah.
All right. So, okay, I'll get to the questions, Q&A in just a second. First and foremost, if you don't have a system, so if you're a no in this room or on this stream, then you need to understand, get a Gmail account if you don't have one. Google Sheets are free. Get everything dumped there because then you can physically text. You can physically call. You can physically email. And you can reach back to these people because they're coming to a central place. What I want is a central place that when your phone dings, it's a potential lead, and I know that I have 5 minutes to get back to them. So on this phone, I want you to have a different notification for potential business, like cha-ching, and then every other notification like ring, ring. Because if I hear cha-ching, I got to be on that within 5 minutes. Whether it's a text, an email, whatever it is, if it's coming from one of my lead generation sources, I got to be Johnny on the spot. And far too many of us are, we got the same notifications and we're overwhelmed by emails and we're overwhelmed by Facebook and we're overwhelmed by all this stuff. But are we systematic in understanding that if I'm going to be converting leads and making people into my clients, then I need to make sure that everything's going to a central place and that I am the system of follow-up. Because once you start doing this as a physical habit, then you'll know what technologies you might need to invest in or what services you might want to pay for in order to get your conversion rates up. Because especially if you're new out there, you got two things you can spend. You could spend money, so throwing money at a problem might solve it if you got a strategy, or time and effort. How many times have I told you guys that? You could spend money. Far too many people do this. Or you could spend time and effort. Because unless you've got so many leads coming in that you can't handle them, then you've got time to be responding within 5 minutes, whether it's emails, text, or whatever. So consider having it all coming through one place, and consider that place having a different tone on your phone to where when you hear that, you know you've got to get right back with them. Do that 40 times a day. That's going to average a commission check a day. What's your business going to look like now? Those of you that have a system, the number one thing I want to see in your system is, are you able to analyze and track your conversion rate? Because if you have a system and you don't know the number of leads, what the source is, and what my conversion rate is, you've got a system because it sounds cool, but how are we going to optimize it? Because like, if I've got Facebook coming in, and I've got Realtor.com coming in, and I got Zillow coming in, what if the realtor leads just because of my zip code, because of luck, because of the market, these are the ones that are converting at a higher rate. If my software is tracking this for me, maybe I need to double down on this and get rid of this. The problem is far too many people are investing in all this stuff, but we're not even keeping the basic marketing metrics afloat, which is I have to know what's working. Because not everything's going to work. You might send out 1,000 letters. It worked 2 years ago, but all of a sudden, nobody answers your letters anymore. Good, great. Now you know, do something else. But if I understand where the sources are coming from, I can get faster, and I can put systems in place which can start with you, then you can become a lead generation monster, a lead conversion monster. But remember patience. That buyer might come to me 5.5 months before they actually pull the trigger. So where the system comes into place is following up. The math says at least 8 times. 8 times. So another email, another follow-up phone call. Guys, it doesn't have to be just crazy all over them all the time. Just check in. Send them an email after you haven't heard from them 6 months, and it could say something like this. Hey, you still interested in buying a house? If so, I'm happy to help. Doesn't matter what it says. But maybe that little email, they're like, oh yeah, I am interested in buying, and I'm so glad that you contacted me because now's my moment. What's it going to hurt? Time and effort or spending money. So if you have the 3 S's right, then you can use technology. So for instance, where it gets really interesting, if you guys are an office hours fan, you will have seen at the national convention last year, we sat and we talked about communication issues at a booth for a company that their job is to take in leads for you and decide whether they're good or not, what stage they're in using big data to feed you better ones. Well, guess what? That's great if you got the money for that. But unless I'm working this part, I'm not getting enough practice to know if I need this tool to get to this part. Far too many of us just buy the tool because it sounds good. But am I feeding it? Am I feeding this monster? Am I putting stuff in there where I'm going to be able to convert? I think these are decisions we need to be making. And going back to basics helps us understand what tools, what systems, what we need to put in our business. Because I know plenty of people, for instance, that are generating so many leads, they can't handle them. They're looking to give them out. They don't even know what to do with them. If you have that problem, that's called a good problem. If you have that problem, comment whether you're on YouTube or Facebook. Let me know you have that problem because then you need to invest in either people or software. But for most of us, we don't have that problem. We have a systematic problem of understanding where buyers are coming from and that we've got to nurture them over time. Because I've heard it said many times, but I preach it in this class and all the time, is that the fortune is in the follow-up. And if it takes 8 touches, I'm willing to send 8 pieces of mail or 8 emails, 8 texts, 8 calls. I am willing to do that if I know that on average it's going to be the 7th or 8th time when you're actually going to buy or sell. I mean, what's the worst thing that's going to happen? Or the question that you can always ask yourself, what am I going to lose? You don't have their business now. What's the worst thing that's going to happen if you ask for it one more time? And let's remember, there's somebody that came in that was at least shopping for houses. So their fear of rejection or fear of what they're going to say or fear of saying or doing the wrong thing is way more extreme than the chances of you actually earning their business. So let's consider the 3 S's. And you guys out there that are watching, if this helped you, if it gives you something to think about, even if you are a machine of lead conversion, give us a like, give us something, give me some love. YouTube, make sure you put in the comments, Facebook, all these folks. And then let me reintroduce where we are if you're just joining us, and then let's get to the Q&A, which is my favorite part. You guys out there, do y'all have any questions specific to this before we get into it? Oh, because we covered it today, huh? All right. So out there, if you're just tuning in, my name is Chris Donaldson. This show is Office Hours. I'm in front of a whiteboard today. Usually I'm sitting in my office. And this is literally a real estate talk. It's all about real estate Q&A, keeping it real, giving you value. Because I know what it's like when you get out of school. I know what it's like to be out there, sometimes as a new agent or even an experienced one. And when you go on YouTube, you look for advice, you ask others, it's a scary world out there. So I wanted you to have a solid place with a solid piece of information that you could actually use every single week in your business. The reason we do it live is for your Q&A. So if you're watching on YouTube or on Facebook, and you have a specific question related to this or to something else, anything under the real estate or business sphere, I'm happy to take it on. So, Jordan, you said we have a question?
We do. Dee Dee asked, do you show up via online to get leads?
Do you show up online to get leads?
Yes.
If I understand the question correctly, do you show up online to get leads? This is what I think. You're either going to have to pay these sources because what they're selling you is consumer attention. So if the consumer is going to Realtor.com, they're going to Zillow.com, they're going to Google for you to get a click or for you to get fed that lead from one of these sources. The way they make money is selling you that consumer's attention. So what I'm always talking about is in the world that was over here of your 50%, your friends and family and the people that you know and love, you want to make sure you get their attention on your own. And then this other piece, you want to understand that's where the consumer's attention is. So far too many people are fighting against it. I hate Zillow, I hate Realtor.com. Well, that's great. That's 80% of the search traffic. So that's where people are. So then I need to figure out how much does it cost, invest if it's going to work, and the only way you're going to know it works is if you give it time and you work a system and you follow up. Does that make sense? That's the point. You've got to be where the consumer is. So that's why I talk about your two pillars. I got to have a website. I got to have a Facebook business page. If I don't have one of those two, I'm not where the consumer is. So that's a great question. Do we have any others?
Just a lot of love for you.
A lot of love. Give me more. Because we're streaming live in a hot classroom. This is what's up. So guys, if you are not, I think we have some left, if you are not a part of the Office Hours Army, if you are not part of this movement that we are starting, I'm going to make it really easy for you. Jordan, we're going to blow up our credits right now. I want you to sign up for our email list, and all you got to do is text this number right here. 44, can you see it on there? Yep. Text 444-999 and then type Donaldson as the message. Put your email address in and you'll be part of it. You'll never miss one of these live broadcasts. You'll never miss the follow-up. And there's going to be things that I'm going to do for you that you won't see anywhere else. Because guess what? I do all of this for you guys. There's no catch. There's no hook. There's nothing coming. All I ask is that you share this with other agents that can benefit and that you be a part of the email list. We do it live so that you can ask your questions. We're doing it live in front of this classroom because I'm here already. And I want to make sure that you guys understand, and most importantly, so Jordan, let me know, you guys that are streaming out there, let me know, did you get at least one thing out of this episode? If you got one thing, like, don't clap, like, because if you got one thing, we'll do more. Now, we'll dig deeper. You see, the whole point of the show is it started as a side project to talk to you guys because I want to see you succeed. But I cannot do it alone. And if you're not here, if you're not watching, there's not going to be enough people to help. So if you're getting something out of this and you're not on the list, just text this, put Donaldson. Or if you're on the watch page, put your name and email. It's right there. It's super easy. And you're going to see that all we're going to do is make sure you never miss a live broadcast again. So until next time, thanks for watching Office Hours. I'm going to get back to my superstars. I will see you guys again next week.